Smart Connector supports licensing for any portion of your extension assembly. If you, as the Smart Connector developer, wish to protect your intellectual property and/or derive revenue from the sale of your Smart Connector-based solution, licensing is a prudent endeavor. Smart Connector licenses are created and managed entirely by you in your personal tenant at www.smartconnectorserver.com. Once generated, the license itself is immutable. Additionally, once a license is added to the Smart Connector runtime, the data cannot be altered even though it is stored in the Smart Connector database. Any edits to either the physical file or the database license fields will render the license unusable. Licenses can be created with the following restrictions. Multiple restrictions will behave in a logical OR fashion. Time-based licensing. License will expire at an absolute date in the future. Machine-based licensing. Licenses can be generated that allow code to run on only a specific machine. Version-based licensing. Licenses can be generated that will only allow specific versions of the extension assembly to execute. Licenses can be generated with custom features that are enforced at runtime from the extension itself. Licensing is a two-step process. The first step involves generating the necessary records on www.smartconnectorserver.com. Extension, license template, and a license. Once created, your extension assembly requires minor modifications to associate it, instruct the Smart Connector runtime on how to enforce licensing. As promised, we will now add licensing to our extension assembly. The extension we are creating here is a logical representation of your actual extension assembly. So as you can see what I have open right here, you want to go to www.smartconnectorserver.com and log in with your chosen authentication provider. Click the Extensions tab, click Add New, and enter a name. Names should be considered public-facing, so you should create a descriptive one. For our extension assembly, we will enter Smart Connector Sample Weather Extension. Enter an optional description. Descriptions are for your internal use and can contain any information deemed pertinent. Now enter the assembly name. The assembly name is the actual extension assembly file name. For our extension assembly, it is Smart Connector.firstWeather extension.dll. Now enter the assembly ID. This field is critical. The value must be the GUID value in your extension assembly's assembly information file. This value must be unique within Smart Connector Server. This prevents another Smart Connector developer from creating fraudulent licenses for your assemblies. So go here, assemblyinfo.cs, and you want to copy this GUID. Click Save. Your page should look like this. You will notice some new fields that were not on the new page, specifically the public key field. This is one half of a public/private key pair that Smart Connector Server uses to create license files. We will use this public key shortly to update our extension assembly. Now, for each logical extension, you can create any number of different license template instances. A license template defines how individual licenses files will be generated. For example, you could create a license template which only allows use to anyone for 30 days, i.e. a demo license, or you could create one with no expiration. But it only works on a specific physical machine, i.e. a machine thumbprint would be required. In order to create an actual license, we'll first need to create a license template. So you want to click New License Template right here. Here we go. Enter a name. Names are public facing and should be short but descriptive. So I'll call this Smart Connector Weather Extension Demo. Enter an optional description. Descriptions are for your internal use and can contain any information deemed pertinent. Assembly version is optional. If used, the license template would be associated with the specific version of your code. Wildcarding is supported here. Enter in 1.0, which translates to Major version 1, Minor version 0, Revision any. Or you could even do 1.0.0. And click Save. Now, for each logical license template, any number of different license instances can be created. A license is the actual immutable license which we'll provide to consumers. So right from here, we click New License and enter a name. Names represent the actual file name which is generated. We want to end it in .lic, .lic. Use of .lic or no extension has not appreciable value, so we use lic here out of convention. So it would be Smart Connector .first weather extension .lic. Enter an optional description. Descriptions are for your internal use and can contain any information deemed pertinent. All that's left to do is click Save. And now you can and should click the Download License button. There it is. We have created a license. Unfortunately, by not providing an expires value or requiring a thumbprint, anyone with access to the license file we just downloaded will be able to use it. This is certainly not a practical option for a real-world extension. Luckily, SmartConnectorServer.com supports more intelligent and scalable workflows than the manual license creation workflow demonstrated here. Please review the FAQ page on that site. Additional questions can be brought up in the Smart Connector Developer Forum. Also, review custom licensing in the supplementary materials on how to add and enforce custom licensing into your extension assembly. Now that we have created the infrastructure to support licensing, we need to update our extension assembly so that it can report to the Smart Connector runtime that a license file is required. So we will once again open up assemblyinfo.cs, which is in the root of your class library project. You want to locate this assembly culture line. Add a custom assembly attribute on the next row. You want it to be public key. Now, how do we get that public key? You want to go to License Templates, locate it, view it, view license, Actually, you want to go to the Extensions tab. Sometimes finding this public key is a little tricky. So go to Extensions, locate yours, and you will see the public key here, but it is grayed out. So rejoin us soon after the public key has been added to the project. Hi there, welcome back. The prior step only allows Smart Connector to perform license enforcement on any licensable item in the extension assembly. If we stop now, nothing would really have changed, as all of the code we have written so far included an is licensed, which returned false. To prevent any of that code from executing, we simply need to update the appropriate lines of code to return true. So you want to open Weather Processor Base, locate the is licensed override, comment out or delete it, which has already been done here, and then simply rebuild your solution. If you see a successful in the console, we now have licensing. Let's test it out. Updating extension assemblies after initial deployment is performed in the same manner as initial deployment. If the extension being updated was being used, the .NET Framework will put a file lock on the DLL, which will prevent it from being overwritten. While workarounds are being considered, presently you will need to stop the Smart Connector service prior to updating your extension assemblies. So I'm going to do that now, and then we will cut back after that is completed. Hi there, welcome back. After updating your deployed extension assembly and restarting the Smart Connector service, we can verify our licensing requirements. So from the portal, click Configurations, Processor to get to this page here. Click the edit icon for either processor configuration. Click Validate. You will notice a No License Found prompt. Click Setup Licenses. Click Add. And now you want to navigate to wherever the download is. Here we go. We have just added the license that we've created. Now go back to your processors. Processor configuration is valid. Now let's try the other one. Valid. Congratulations. Validation is successful. And with that, you have officially graduated from Smart Connector Developer School. Pat yourself on the back. You did a good job. If you have any further questions, you can always come to the Smart Connector Developer Forum. Refer to the supplementary materials included in this course. And feel free to drop the Building Labs an email with any further questions. Well, what are you waiting for? Go out there and develop more extensions.